20 years since her passing, and Blackground Records has now finally released Aaliyah's music onto streaming platforms. This kind of coinciding with R. Kelly finally getting convicted, found guilty of many vile crimes, and he's got a sentencing date set. He's facing up to life in prison, so I figured there's no better way to celebrate than talking about one of America's youngest icons ever. The princess of R&B herself, it's Aaliyah. A-A-L-I-Y-A-H. Born on January 16th, 1979, Aaliyah Dana Houghton was destined to become a star. From age 6, when she performed her first school play, she became determined and her drive was unstoppable. She was going to be an entertainer. Spurred forth by her voice that was already beyond her years, that was developed by her vocalist mother and helped by her aunt Gladys Knight and her record-producing uncle Barry Hankerson, she signed a deal with Jive Records at just 12 years old. Unfortunately, at the time, Hankerson also managed the now convicted sex trafficker, kidnapper, and child exploiter Robert Kelly, and he quickly took Aaliyah under his crooked wing. He's a master manipulator that's basically gotten away with whatever he wants for almost 30 years now. Finally, it's catching up to him, but he's performed some of the vilest acts a man can do. In Aaliyah's case, he gained her trust by writing and producing her very first album, which is a solid project, and I'm going to be diving into it full in a minute here, but while he was working on that with her, he coerced her into an incredibly inappropriate relationship. She was maybe 14 at the time. It went so far as he got her pregnant and had to falsify documents in order to marry her illegally when he was 27 and she was 15, just so he could get rid of that pregnancy without her parents finding out, or really anybody finding out. That's illegal. That's statutory R word. I can't say the word on YouTube, otherwise my stuff gets shown to even less people, if you can believe that. Either way, I think her parents found out in 96 and they cut ties with Jive Records and R. Kelly altogether, and the fact that they found out about it and he still didn't go to jail is mind-boggling, and I don't really know what to say about that. Thankfully, he's finally going. He's in jail right now waiting to be sentenced, so we can rest a little easier now, but my goodness, it's a lot to take in, and I can't even begin to imagine how overwhelming that must have been for someone as young as Aaliyah to go through. Truly enough to break most people, but she strove forth and persevered beyond this debut album. Let's get into the music here, the roots, the beginnings of a legacy with her 1994 debut through Jive and Blackground Records. This multi-talented, Brooklyn-born musical powerhouse named Aaliyah came out swinging at age 15 with Age Ain't Nothing But a Number. This double platinum album helped modernize R&B by combining elements of hip-hop and pop while still maintaining that swinging, soulful R&B root. With its teen-centered lyricism, it helped bring a more mature sound to the young people that listened to it and influenced the direction of popular music for years after its release. As horrible as he is, there is unfortunately no denying that R. Kelly was a talented multi-instrumentalist who had an ear for hits in the 90s and early 2000s. Anyone who's revisited Space Jam recently can attest to how uncomfortable it is to hear, "I believe I can fly." Either way, I'm going to try to stay as objective as I can about this and let you guys know whether or not it's something you'd enjoy jamming to in your Jeep. And it starts out with one of the catchiest little a cappella sort of gospel-y PSA intros that I've ever heard, and now we'll proceed to butcher horribly.
Listen to instructions carefully while bumping this album in your Jeeps. Aaliyah's got a 90s swing, so be careful with the volume, please.
From that fun little intro, we move on to this album's lead single and a song that was so successful that it actually pushed this album's release to be earlier than originally planned. It's the funky, mellow groove on Back and Forth that's led by Aaliyah's what would become a classic 90s R&B flow. It's a great ease you into the album kind of track, pull people up onto the dance floor, and we need all the easing we can get because, speaking of earlier than originally planned, the next song is the title track, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number, and it's probably one of the greatest acts of musical gaslighting ever. So R. Kelly wrote this song that, when sung by Aaliyah, is her convincing him that age doesn't mean anything and shouldn't get in the way. It's completely wild, insanely inappropriate. I don't know how this was just a silly single in the 90s and just got swept under the rug during his pretty insane allegations he faced in the early 2000s that were obviously true, but somehow he tricked people into not... It's just an inseparable piece of art from the artist here. It's right out there in front of everyone, and he just kept getting away with it for a long time afterwards. Also, he stole the song. It's based off of a Bobby Caldwell song from 1978, What You Won't Do for Love. So on top of it all, it's just a copy piece of work. So he's a piece of work. That song is a piece of work. Something that you can uncomfortably just stomach while you bop through this album, or just skip entirely. It's up to you. Luckily, we get a breather from Rob's lyrics with an Isley Brothers cover of At Your Best You Are Love. Slow, dreamy, makes me wish we had more Leah cover songs. That's kind of how she came up with doing covers of other great artists, and she does a beautiful rendition here. It really only is soured by the surrounding material and obviously the context of the album. The hip-hop breakbeat on Down With The Click brings out Aaliyah's street but sweet swagger. There's this soul-funk flavor that sinks its way into a number of the tracks here on the back end, like on the slightly more generic No One Knows Who to Love and the motivating and heartfelt Street Thing. The sound palette of the whole thing really just oozes the 90s. You got Back and Forth opening it up to the groovy I'm so into you, and then the verses on Young Nation just really harken back to a time that is the 90s. I was just being born, and it's something I've just barely got a taste for before it was ripped away from me just a few weeks after Aaliyah's passing, actually. The beat on Old School has some potential, but this track ends up falling flat, and then I'm both impressed and dismayed by how the closer I'm Down has essentially perfected the boy band music formula a few years ahead of its time. It might be one of the reasons why there was such a dismal pop scape during my early childhood and adolescence, because this song kind of hits it right on the head. There's also a closing bonus track, just a remix of Back and Forth that comes around and kind of bops this thing to conclusion. Overall, it's a pretty formidable debut album, regardless of how old the voice behind it was, and that couldn't be stated more clearly than with a title like that. It shed a spotlight on a really ugly and toxic side of celebrity culture and told a invaluable and tragic tale that would perpetuate itself in this particular case up until 2019. Sorry guys, I got a little distracted from the music. Let's get back into pop royalty, Aaliyah, because after this was just her getting started. She put out a album through Atlantic Records in August of '96, the multi-platinum One in a Million. She would then spend about 5 years writing songs for movies and even starring in her first feature film alongside Jet Li, Romeo Must Die. Her song from that, Try Again, was the first #1 Billboard song based off solely airplay, and that soundtrack went on to sell 1.5 million copies. She would then star in her second film, The Queen of the Damned, while simultaneously teaming up with Timbaland and Missy Elliott to come out with her third eponymous and final studio album. In July of 2001, Aaliyah's Aaliyah hit the shelves and jumped straight to #2, but its quick decline led the record company to push her to film some more music videos to boost the sales. After filming her video for Rock the Boat in the Bahamas, she was on her way home. Her return flight crashed just minutes after takeoff, killing her and everyone on board on August 25th, 2001. She was only 22 and had really accomplished everything she had set out to be, and was primed to continue to entertain more people for years and years to come, to continue just living that dream, with her signed on to do both the Matrix sequels, a movie called Honey, and a movie called Sparkle that she herself had pitched to executives. She was talented, driven, entrepreneurial, had a sheer will to overcome whatever life threw her way. I'm glad we can now go back and listen to her music in a more convenient way, and with rumors of a fourth unreleased album titled Unstoppable coming out this year at some point apparently, I'm sure her legacy will continue on for quite some time. If you're interested in listening to this or any of Aaliyah's other music, I've got a link down in the description with hopefully her latest album there too. If it's out, I've got a link there unless it's exclusive to some other platform. Leave me a comment letting me know your favorite Aaliyah song or album or even movie moment. I'd love to hear it. Like the video, subscribe for more throwback music retrospectives from albums I pick up thrift shopping. Thank you so much for watching. I'm so happy to be back. Have a great week, everybody.